All right, let's dive into The Pearl.
Yeah, a novella, huh?
A novella that really gets you thinking.
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to break it down, especially for those of you studying literature.
Great. I mean, it seems like a simple story on the surface,
Yeah.
But there's a lot going on underneath.
Well, there's a lot there.
About human nature, about hope, about...
Yeah, let's set the scene first.
Okay.
La Paz, Mexico, back in the 1940s.
Okay.
We meet Kino, a hardworking pearl diver just trying to make a living.
Right.
He's got his wife, Juana, and their baby, Coyotito.
A young family.
Yeah, they're not rich, but they're content.
They have each other.
Exactly. Until
Yeah.
Kino finds this pearl.
And not just any pearl.
Right. The pearl of the world, they call it.
Huge, beautiful, valuable.
And suddenly, everything changes.
All these dreams, all these possibilities.
A better life for his family, education for Coyotito.
A new house. Maybe even a church wedding.
It all seems within reach.
Yeah, you can feel that hope.
But you know what they say about things that seem too good to be true?
Right.
This pearl, it starts to feel, well, almost dangerous.
Like a shadow lurking behind it.
Exactly.
It attracts the wrong kind of attention.
All of a sudden, everyone wants a piece of it.
Like the doctor, for instance.
Oh, the doctor.
Who wouldn't even treat Coyotito before.
When they were poor.
Now, suddenly, he's their best friend.
It's sickening, really.
Yeah. Steinbeck really captures that hypocrisy.
The social inequalities, the greed.
It's all laid bare.
And it escalates from there.
Oh, yeah.
Thieves, trackers.
Their once peaceful life is shattered.
Replaced by fear, suspicion.
It's like the pearl itself is corrupting everything it touches.
And it's not just the people around Kino, right?
No.
Kino himself starts to change.
He gets obsessed.
Consumed by the pearl.
Loses sight of what truly matters.
It's fascinating to see how Steinbeck shows that transformation.
Yeah, through Kino's actions, his thoughts, his language even.
He doesn't just tell us, he shows us.
A master storyteller.
So let's talk about some of the big themes here.
Okay, what do you see?
Well, family, for one.
Right at the heart of it.
How does Steinbeck portray that bond, especially with all the pressure from the pearl?
The bond is strong, that's for sure.
They love each other fiercely.
They're protective, especially of Coyotito.
But the pearl creates this tension, this strain.
Pulls them in different directions.
Juana senses the danger, begs Kino to get rid of the pearl.
She sees what it's doing to him.
But he's blinded by the promise, by the dream.
It's a classic struggle, isn't it?
It makes you think, what would you sacrifice for your family?
How far would you go?
Would you risk it all for a chance at a better life?
Even if it meant putting your loved ones in danger.
Those are tough questions.
Steinbeck doesn't give us easy answers.
He wants us to wrestle with those dilemmas.
And confront the moral complexity.
And then there's this other theme, good versus evil.
Right, that battle plays out on multiple levels.
It's not just the obvious bad guys.
The doctor, the thieves.
It's within Kino himself.
This internal struggle.
The pearl, this object of supposed beauty and value.
Becomes a symbol of temptation.
It brings out both good and evil in him.
He wants to use it for good, to help his family.
But it also unleashes greed, possessiveness.
A darkness he didn't have before.
And this ties into another fascinating aspect, the paradox.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Kino thinks the pearl will bring happiness, security.
But it brings the opposite.
Chaos, tragedy, destruction.
It's like this cruel irony at the heart of the story.
It almost feels like Steinbeck is saying that material wealth,
the thing Kino thinks will solve his problems.
It's actually the source of his problems.
Powerful stuff for students of literature to grapple with.
Absolutely.
It makes you question everything you think you know about success and happiness.
So we've got these big themes at play, but the characters themselves are so well drawn.
Each one serves a purpose.
They illuminate these larger ideas.
Like Juana, for example.
She's often seen as the voice of reason.
The one who sees the danger of the pearl from the start.
I love how Steinbeck portrays her strength.
She's not just a passive character.
She's actively trying to protect her family.
Even if it means going against her husband.
That scene where she tries to throw the pearl back in the ocean.
Powerful stuff.
And then there's Coyotito, the innocent child, caught in the middle of it all.
He represents purity, vulnerability.
His presence adds another layer of complexity.
Reminds us of the stakes involved.
These aren't just abstract ideas. They have real-world consequences.
Especially for the most vulnerable.
And of course, we can't forget the antagonists.
The doctor, the pearl buyers, the thieves, the trackers.
They embody the darker side of human nature.
They're drawn to the pearl like moths to a flame.
They represent the forces that threaten to destroy Kino and his family,
They're like different facets of greed and exploitation.
pushing Kino closer and closer to the edge.
So as we move into the next part of our deep dive, I want you to think about this. What do you make of Kino's choices so far?
Is he a victim of circumstance, or is he becoming complicit in his own downfall?
It's a question worth pondering, isn't it?
We'll delve deeper into that next time.
Stay with us. Kino, he's really stuck, isn't he?
Yeah, caught between this dream and
And this nightmare that's unfolding.
it's like he's trying to hold on to this life raft.
But the storm keeps getting worse.
He makes a decision, a bold one,
Yeah, he decides to take control.
to go to the capital, try to sell the pearl himself.
Get away from the greedy buyers in La Paz.
But that journey...
It becomes more than just a physical journey, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Steinbeck's descriptions of the landscape.
It's like a descent into a moral wilderness.
A fight for survival, both external and internal.
And then, that attack on his house.
That's when things get really real.
They invade his home, threaten his family,
Kino's forced to fight back.
and he kills one of the attackers.
The pearl, it's cost him so much already.
His peace of mind, his sense of security.
It's cost him a life. Even if it was in self-defense.
It's a turning point, isn't it?
It raises all these questions about how far we'd go to protect our own.
Where do you draw the line? When does self-defense become something else?
It's a moral gray area for sure.
And the killing doesn't solve anything. It just makes things worse.
They have to flee.
Into this harsh, unforgiving landscape.
With trackers on their trail.
It's like a classic chase scene.
But with this psychological tension layered on top of it.
We're not just worried about their physical safety.
It's about Kino's soul, his humanity.
Can he come back from this?
But even in this darkness, there's a theme of perseverance.
He keeps going, despite the danger, the exhaustion.
He's driven by this fierce determination to protect his family.
To find something good in all of this.
It's fascinating to see how that plays out alongside his relationship with Juana.
She's been urging him to get rid of the pearl the whole time.
She sees the destruction it's causing.
But he's been clinging to it, holding on to that dream.
They're like two sides of the same coin, aren't they?
Juana, she represents intuition, spiritual understanding.
She wants him to let go of the material.
Kino, he's more pragmatic.
He wants to provide, to fight for a better future.
And that conflict comes to a head when they're hiding in the mountains.
Kino's pushed to his limit.
He decides to attack the trackers.
A desperate gamble.
And we know, deep down, that it's not going to end well.
It never does in these situations.
It's a heart-wrenching scene.
In the chaos of the fight, Coyotito cries out.
One of the trackers mistakes him for an animal.
And fires a shot.
The silence that follows.
It's deafening.
Kino's dreams, his hopes, everything he was fighting for.
Gone in an instant.
The pearl, the thing that was supposed to save them.
Has led to their destruction.
It's so tragic.
The irony of it all.
But for Kino, it's a moment of realization.
The illusion is shattered.
He sees the pearl for what it truly is.
A curse, not a blessing.
It's corrupted him, cost him everything.
And in that realization, there's a glimmer of something else.
Maybe hope. Maybe a chance for redemption.
We'll see in the final part of our deep dive.
What awaits Kino and Juana after all they've endured?
Can they find peace after such a devastating loss?
Man, it's hard to even imagine what Kino and Juana are going through.
Yeah, after everything that's happened, can they even recover from that?
It's like their world has been completely shattered.
But even in the midst of all that tragedy, Steinbeck still manages to offer a glimmer of hope.
You're right, it's not all doom and gloom.
There's this underlying sense of resilience, of the human spirit's ability to endure.
That final scene, when Kino goes back to La Paz and throws the pearl back into the ocean.
Oh man, that's a powerful moment.
It's like this symbolic act of defiance.
He's not just giving up, is he?
No, it's more than that.
He's rejecting the pearl, everything it represents.
The greed, the violence, the false promises.
He's reclaiming his own agency.
It's like he's saying, this thing doesn't define me. My worth isn't tied to material wealth.
Exactly. It's a powerful message, especially for students of literature who are grappling with these big questions.
It forces you to reevaluate your own priorities, what you truly value in life.
Yeah, it's not about chasing material possessions, it's about something deeper.
We've talked about so many themes already. Family, good versus evil, paradox. But another one that really stands out here is disillusionment.
Oh, absolutely. Kino starts out so full of hope, believing that the pearl will change everything.
He's got these dreams for his family, a better life, education for Coyotito.
And then one by one, those dreams are crushed.
The pearl brings nothing but pain and suffering.
It's like a cautionary tale, isn't it?
It's not just a personal tragedy for Kino, it's a wider social commentary.
Steinbeck is exposing the false promises of a society that values material wealth above all else.
He's showing how that pursuit can corrupt individuals, families, even entire communities.
The pearl becomes a symbol of that greed, that exploitation that preys on the vulnerable.
It makes you think about the systems of power in your own life, how they might be shaping your desires and even your sense of self-worth.
The pearl operates on so many levels. It's a personal tragedy, a social critique, a timeless parable about human nature.
So much to unpack, so much to think about.
It really is.
Let's go back to that final image. Kino casting the pearl back into the ocean.
What do you see in that moment?
Is it defeat? Surrender?
Or is it something else entirely?
I think it's liberation.
Yeah, I see that
It's
too.
letting go of this false hope, this toxic dream that has caused him so much pain.
And in that letting go, there's a chance for healing, for rebuilding.
It's not a happy ending, but it's an honest one.
Life is messy. It doesn't always tie things up in a neat little bow.
And it leaves us with this lingering question. What would we do in Kino's place?
How would we navigate the treacherous waters of temptation, greed, the desire for a better life?
Would we make the same choices?
There are no easy answers, are there?
That's the beauty of literature. It challenges us to think critically, to question our assumptions, to grapple with these difficult questions.
And the pearl does that in spades.
So, if you're listening, we encourage you to seek out this novella. Let its story wash over you, let it provoke you, let it stay with you long after you've finished the last page.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the world of literature.
See you next time.